talk to. He's the man that led me to the top when nobody else thought I was qualified. All the other promoters, Don King, Bob Arrow, none of them would fool with me. But J. Russell Peltz said, hey, he still got it. So I'm leaving it up to him to get me the next way. This is the man. If any young fighters want to go to the top like I did, go to this man. He's a fair man. He'll be fair with you.
Peltz Boxing Promotions proudly presents the schedule now.
Well, welcome again to the latest episode with Hall of Fame boxing promoter from Philadelphia, who's now in sunny Florida, Russell Peltz. Russell, thank you for episode 4. Thank you for continuing this. This, like you said at the beginning, it is turning into a lot of fun. And little by little, I'm sure you're getting some reaction from it. So welcome back. And you're now in sunny Florida. And you said it's a little humid down there, right?
Yeah, my wife made me play 18 holes of golf yesterday. It was brutal.
Really?
Especially for someone who doesn't know how to play.
Oh, okay. So a few things are happening in the boxing world this weekend, but actually we'll talk about that in a bit. But what's going on this evening there in Florida? Maybe we do a little promo for what you're going to be doing a little bit later on today and tonight.
I'm going to be speaking and signing books, hopefully, at the Valencia Shores Sports Club, which is between Boynton and Lake Worth, Florida. We'll have anywhere from 50 to 150 people there tonight, and we're going to have a good time. And it's free. They ask for they're going to make a donation to our late son's memorial fund in Columbus, Ohio. So it's a success, even if I don't sell a single book.
Yeah, so that's great. And then speaking of your book, I know we had good news last time 2 weeks ago. That any more sales since then for the book?
Yeah, I not only passed 1,900, I sold like 9 books in like 72 hours. So we're up to 1,909 right now, as we speak.
Well, beautiful. Obviously, can't believe it's the beginning of November already, and we're coming into the holiday season. So anybody watching us, wherever they may be, it's, as you say, Russell, it's on Amazon to be a great holiday Christmas gift for any one of the boxing persuasion, especially people, they hear it's a great read and phenomenal reviews from it. So it is available on Amazon. And we'll get back to this at the end of this little podcast. But you have a few things you want to discuss today. And what do you want to start off with, Russell? With obviously there's something going on this weekend that's really kind of like blowing up. So you have the floor, buddy.
Well, it's good and it's bad. It's sad that the biggest boxing event in recent times is going to be I don't know if it's a fight or an exhibition. Friday, the 15th. Is that Friday? The 5th? Yes, Friday night.
Yeah, it's this Friday.
And 57-year-old Mike Tyson and 27-year-old Jake Paul from, I guess it's still called Cowboy Stadium, and now it's AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. It's 8 rounds, 2 minutes a round, which is what women fight at, 2 minutes a round. I'm not trying to make an analogy there. And,
I wasn't aware of that. That's 2 minutes around.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
That's a benefit to Tyson. The benefit to Jake Paul is that they're not going to wear 8 or 10 ounce gloves. They're going to be wearing, I believe, either 14 or 16 ounce gloves, which sort of takes some of the power out of the punch, which to me is Tyson's. Listen, if this is a real fight, not a skit, not a rehearsed thing. If it's a real fight, if Tyson's actually coming to win, you have to remember that when Tyson retired, 20 years ago, he was losing fights to ordinary journeymen. Jake Paul has lost the only fight he's lost in about 8 or 9 was to a real fighter. The other 8 or 9 guys that he beat were either ex-football players or MMA guys or things like that. He lost to Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy, by decision. He's better than your average guy off the street. If Tyson can hit him in the first 2 or 3 rounds, but Tyson is 57. On the other hand, Tyson's getting, from what I hear, 20 million. So why would he want to hurt the guy who is enabling him to earn $20 million at the age of 57?
But the other one is making 40 million.
Well, he's the star. He's the TikTok, I don't know, all those social
YouTube
media
and yes.
YouTube. So I will tell you that I just spoke to Joe Hand, whose company is the major player in pay-per-view. He's going to have this fight in approximately close to 5,000 bars, restaurants, and casinos around the country. It's going to be the second largest number of locations behind Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor a few years ago. But if you have Netflix, you can watch it for free at home, and they're hoping to do between 15 and 20 million homes that will be watching.
Well, that I will be watching it here in California. The only thing is, it's going to be early. It's going to be 4:30, out here. Now, is there like a women's card that's also going to be in front of it? I know they're pushing this women's card ahead of time. I know your thoughts on women's boxing.
But first of all, 4:30 is the first fight on the card.
Yeah, that's my time. Yeah, that's not Eastern time, right?
That's not the Tyson Paul fight.
No.
That'll be much later. Yeah, there's honestly, Carl, I couldn't even tell you who the women are because I'm just so anti-women's boxing. It just bothers me. That's all.
Yeah, and look at the tell of the tape. Oh, speaking of boxing, I did when I lived in Atlantic City for 5-6 years. The woman, a boxing promoter down there,
Diane Fisher.
Lovely lady. She actually is the one who did my haircuts. I know she had a salon there, and then found out she did that. And I used to go to a couple of them. And I knew you had like a friendship, and you did mention her in the book. But I know it went. I'm surprised it's still going, but it's not as big. They make it out to be on this documentary that this is like one of the biggest women fights in world history. Do you agree or not?
Everybody's just talking about Tyson and Jake Paul. It's a shame for the women that if it's true, one of the biggest women's fights in history, that it's getting buried. Because as much as I don't like women's boxing, I should at least know that.
Yeah,
but, I don't know.
Just look at the tail of the tape, though. The difference in disparity here between ages and everything. And it is something that, some people who were not even aware that this happening is like, is he still around? Why is he fighting and all this? And we know it's who's got a bankroll, and obviously Netflix is bankrolling all this, and then a 100,000 seat stadium too. So it is going to be interesting. We all know from back our days that, he's still a lethal man. And what I did like that he mentioned, the challenger is a manufactured champion or whatever, where Tyson is natural. And I think watching some of his sparring showed that he still has some tenacity, but I wasn't aware it's only a 2-minute round. So it will be interesting how this is going to turn around on Friday night.
Mike Tyson is the last heavyweight champion that any ordinary sports fan can identify off the top of his head. Like when I asked you on a recent podcast, who's the heavyweight champion of the world, you didn't know. The last one that everybody knew, was Mike Tyson. Not everybody knew Lennox Lewis. Evander Holyfield, sure, but that was Mike Tyson was the man.
Right, because of the air bite, that's why.
Well, yeah, but Mike Tyson was the man for over a decade. He was the man. Whether he was champ or not, whether he was in jail or out of jail, he was the guy that everybody knew. He's the one we hold on to. If there was another Mike Tyson today, maybe boxing would make a comeback. I don't know that even that the way fights are made today, I don't know that could happen.
Now, I remember back about almost 20 some years ago, that didn't Tyson fight at the Spectrum in like 95. Were you aware of that? I mean, were you a part of that?
No, that was his, I believe that was his second or third fight after he got released from prison. He fought Peter McNeely, and he might have had a fight in between. And then he fought Buster Mathis Jr. in December at the Spectrum, and they overpriced it. They terribly overpriced the show and, the ticket sales. And it did maybe 5,000 people at the Spectrum, 5,000 paid. I wasn't involved. Don King did that show in Philadelphia with the late Joe Hand.
And I don't remember, was there any TV for that? Because I knew it was happening, but I don't even know. Was that pay? I was probably pay-per-view also.
No, I think off the top of my head, I'm guessing it was on Fox. I'm just guessing.
Okay. But I knew he had that little Philly, because I know he mostly was in Vegas and, all over. But, he had that one time with, being at the Spectrum that in 95. So curious if he had anything to do with that. So, well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out on Friday. You want to take a prediction? What's going to happen?
If Jake Paul can, first of all, I hope nothing happens to Tyson. This fight was postponed from earlier in the year when Tyson had some heart issues or some kind of
ulcers. They found a huge ulcer that was causing major pain in his stomach. So that was what it was. It was an ulcer. You don't want anybody
to get hurt, because the boxing commission that has sanctioned this fight would never sanction a 57-year-old guy in a real fight. And God forbid if something were to happen to Mike Tyson, I don't know how the Texas Boxing Commission could possibly defend itself. But that would be 20/20 hindsight. Would I like to see Mike Tyson crack Jake Paul? Absolutely. I'd like to see Mike Tyson come out there and whack him out in one round. And there's a lot of diehard, old school fight people that feel the same way. That's if it's a real fight. And I don't know. He's 57 years old. It's good. It's one thing to hit the bag and shadow box in the gym and fight your sparring partner. It's another thing to be in a real fight under the lights, but you're not fighting a real fighter. You're fighting a YouTube personality who might be athletic, but boy, you get hit in the rib cage with one of those Mike Tyson left hooks. He goes left to the body and then left uppercut to the chin. I don't know. It depends what he's got left, and can he do it for 8 rounds? Let's see, that's 16 minutes. So that's equivalent to a regular fight of 5 rounds and a minute, if it was 3 minutes a round. So I don't know. If it's a real fight, I give Tyson the edge in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and after that, I've never seen Jake Paul fight, because this is not the kind of boxing that I fell in love with in 1959. This is just like society today. This is what we've morphed into.
Let me ask you this. Actually last night I was watching the 2-part documentary on it and showing, because the fight was supposed to have been in July and it was postponed, but it shows the last month of Tyson's training and sparring. There's a look in his eye. I think it clicked to the point of like, I'm not going to be made fun of. I'm not going to be used in this circus. I hate to use that word. And I think that fire is there, that he'll come out. My thoughts now, as not involved with the business like you are, but just from watching boxing all my life also, I think like he's going to come out like the Spinks fight that lasted 47 seconds. So, and we don't want anybody hurt, but I think the people, will put this together. It's just, as you say, it's all the money. Who's backed it? Netflix, the new world of influencers. Influences on who? Hey, Russell, were you influenced by this guy? You didn't even know who he was, right?
No, I don't have a clue. But I'll tell you this, Carl. If Jake Paul has to know, when the bell rings, Jake Paul is not going to walk straight to Mike Tyson. If he does, he's going out of there. He has to know just what we're talking about, that the longer the fight goes, the better it is for him. So I think Tyson's going to be chasing him early. And they say Jake Paul is athletic. I don't know. They say he's better than your actual guy off the street who's been fighting for a year. I don't know. People think, oh, boxing's easy. You just get in there. Listen, I know what it's like when I was a kid, just to hold your hands up for 3 minutes inside those gloves. So, although I was like 12 and 13 years old, but still, it's a lot tougher sport than you think.
Well, what you think, it's just a matter of it's amazing. It's a crazy business, you know, and you've been involved with it. You've seen really the greats of the, understanding the way it evolved in the 40s and 50s, and your involvement in the late 60s and 70s. But now where it is, I know it's boxing has this over this. Now this is really boxing. So it'll be interesting. Anything more on this? And you have another thought about what just transpired also in the boxing business.
Okay, one more thing. They're expecting between 15, I said 15 to 20 million at home. They're expecting 50 to 60,000 people at Cowboy Stadium or AT&T Stadium. And like Johan mentioned to me, Caesars Properties alone, which is buying the fight, they have over 215 different properties between casinos, hotels, restaurants. It's going to be a monster. So you just hope that, I was going to say boxing doesn't get embarrassed, but boxing's been embarrassed a lot in recent years. So let's hope it's a legitimate fight and it's a real fight. And
my curiosity on that end, now there's a local sports bar here that's part of a card casino here, but about maybe 2 miles from me, and they have all the games. They have all the MMA, UFC fighting. So is this only exclusive to Joe's company for them to get this? They couldn't get this on their own. I'm just curious about the mechanics of this.
If Joe has the rights, they can't get it on their own. And he has people who go to bars who pirate it, and then they sue the bars, and that's as lucrative a business as if the bars would buy it. There's no cover charge. The bars got a little bit of a discount this time because there's no cover charge. In the old days, you'd have to pay $10, $15 to go into a bar and watch a fight on pay-per-view, but none of the bars are charging money. They're trying to do it to encourage business, and Netflix wants that too. They're hoping that people who go to the bar and enjoy it will go home and buy Netflix.
Yeah, and I see that. So yeah, so it'll be interesting. Today is Tuesday, before on the 12th. Before the fight is actually Friday night. So it'll be interesting on that. So getting back to some good things. So to do a little bit more of your promo. So where are you going to be tonight, Russell? What's going on again tonight? We're going to do that.
Valencia Shores Men's Club, which is a gated community on Talleyrand Road in Lake Worth /Lake Worth. And I'll be speaking and signing books. I'm looking forward to it. Carl, I love the cover picture of my book. It's the only photo I had to pay for. All the others were given to me inside the book. Like, I don't know, I have 40 photos in the book, one on each chapter. This one I had to buy because the Philadelphia Inquirer had sold its rights to a group in New York. This is the third fight card of my career, right before Halloween 1969. That's Leotis Martin walking away, who eventually ended Sonny Liston's career, knocking out Wendell Newton at the Blue Horizon in a terrific fight in which he was in trouble, Martin, bleeding, and he knocked him out in the 7th round. The referee is Jack Fitzpatrick, and it was my third card and my first really memorable main event. And it's just such a, I know it's some people say it's a horrific picture, but if you're into boxing, this is what it's about. Knocking somebody out.
I am a photographer, and I've done some, small sports photography and things, but yes, I would always love Sports Illustrated. And I know you had the whole catalog, but it was the photography of Sports Illustrated for all the different sports. Now, is this, I remember now you said this was a picture from the Inquirer or the Daily News?
The Inquirer. I actually had Gene Courtney, who was the boxing writer, actually gave me the photo the week after the fight as a gift. And I've had it all these years, and I probably could have used it without notifying anybody, but I didn't want to take a chance. So I called this company in New York that had bought the Inquirer archives. I think I paid around $300 for the picture. I'd have paid a lot more because I had to have that picture on the cover. They didn't even have the actual photograph. I had it in my files. And I just love it. It's what boxing's all about to me.
Any kudos to the actual photographer who took the picture?
I can't remember his name. He was from Delaware. He passed away. I knew it at the time I was writing the book because his name was on the back of the photo, by Joe Blow, Philadelphia Inquirer. But, I'd have to look again in Philly and see it.
See, it's, all the kids today that, they could take a picture on their phone. So I'm a product of actual cameras, film, and look at that picture, black and white, triaxle.
There's nothing like black and white.
I know. And would have, with sports photographers, I'd always learned that they would have to have them motorized. They would have, normally it's a roll of 24, 36 or 48, but then they would have the massive ones that would have to have an automatic, advance to it. And just a click, 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 and I know this is your book, but then, the big fight was Ali Frazier at Madison Square Garden, but who was the photographer there for Life magazine?
Frank Sinatra.
Correct. And I think I don't know if it was Canon or Nikon, they were coming out with new cameras and they supplied all the cameras and all the film for him. So, but most of it, half of it was still black and white. So that's an art in itself because it gives so much of a different flavor to the way boxing was. And, they didn't have restrictions on smoking in the arenas at that point. Am I right? There was still that, the cigar smell, the cigarette smell, and the haze of it. So,
and you notice there's only 3 ropes, not 4. The 4th rope didn't come in yet in 1969.
Well, that's something that I did not notice or even be aware of. Obviously, part of it. See, I'm still learning about it too. But yeah, it's great that we could just even talk about this particular picture, not only the significance of it with you're one of your beginning promotion in your fights, but the significance, which you said, a knockout, the winner just leaving. He's not showboating. He doesn't have his hands up in the air. He's not pointing at the guy, I got you, just politely going to his side of the corner, or the other guy is obviously finished for the evening in black and white. So yes, it's maybe your next book should be photography, a book of photographs, I would love that too.
You know what else? Leotis Martin has your old style white trunks with the black stripe, not 15 different sponsorship logos. There's no corner pad advertising Budweiser where those 3 cushions are behind the referee with the cover and the turnbuckles. The other guy has dark trunks, so they're not the same color. It's just perfect. That's why I had to have it on the cover.
And I'm sure the robes they walked into the ring didn't have all kind of jewelry on it or things and logos. And
right.
Yeah, we do come from a different era. And I have to still thank my dad, who's passed about not quite 10 years yet. But I remember as a young kid, Friday night, 8:30 or 9 o'clock Friday night fights on NBC. 10 o'clock. Okay. We all had to be. Now I could come down and he smoked a cigar and always that, the Gillette, Cavalcade of Sports and Don Dunphy. And I was always fascinated, Madison Square Garden and, the haze of all the smoke. And it was just the ambiance of the time and the way the business was. And that was still next to baseball. As you said in your original podcast, they were the top sports of the day. So, and here we are, 60 some years later, and look what we have, an exhibition. Not true.
If you call my cell phone, I think I told you that, it plays the Gillette Flight song.
It's
talk about being sick.
Well, the thing is, I got the bug too, not to get involved with it, but just admire it from afar. So, well, hey, it'll be interesting to talk about it on the next podcast. And you gave me a little bit of a preview of the next two. I know we're in November. We might do one or two before the end of the holidays, but maybe give a little for people looking at for maybe the next two before the end of the year. Who do you might have lined up for that, Russell?
Well, I spoke to Ivan Robinson, lightweight contender from Philly, who twice beat Arturo Gatti. And he's in the book. There's a whole chapter called Arturo and Ivan. He'll be coming on the show. And my longtime buddy, who's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we went to school together. We took journalism together. We graduated together. He succeeded me as sports editor of the Daily Student newspaper. His name is Ray Didinger, and he's as good a football analyst as anybody on the face of the earth. That's him in the far left. I'm seated. This picture was taken in 1966, and that's the sports staff of the Temple University News.
You think he'll mind we post that from back in the day?
Oh, Ray. Ray's
be great. It'll be wonderful.
Ray's one of those guys you can't say anything negative about. He's just
look at that, another black and white picture. Oh my God. Now, I know you've had a tragedy. You lost a son, and I lost a stepdaughter many years ago. But she always would say anything that a picture that she would see in black and white, she would call it the olden days for me, and in homage to Julie, yes, they were the olden days with black and white pictures, But yeah, that said, that'll be good to look forward to. So you think that you'll have both of those between now and the end of the year?
Oh, sure. Yes, absolutely.
Well, looking forward to it. So you have one other subject you would like to talk about today, about something that just happened that's also involved with the boxing business.
The Bible has been sold. The Bible of Boxing, the Ring magazine. I bought my first one in 1959 at Evans Drugstore in the Balakin Shopping Center. Or no, it was like February 1960. No, it's been sold from Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions for $10 million to the Turks, who are promoting boxing and spending outrageous amounts of money. No publication in the history of sports, any sport, and this includes the sporting news and baseball, no publication ever had more influence and controlled a sport than the Ring magazine did, beginning with the February 1922 issue. It was the first time that world rankings, originally done, that's the first one. That's Tex Rickard on the left. That might be Lord Lonsdale. I'm not sure, from England on the right, who did the Lonsdale belts. Jack Dempsey started ranking fighters in all the weight classes, but when he realized he didn't know that much about the featherweights and bantamweights, they got a crew together, and the Ring had a bigger influence on boxing than any publication in any sport. If you weren't ranked in the Ring top 10, then it didn't matter, or the NBA, any BS organization, you hadn't made it. And it's been sold. I can't believe they paid $10 million for it. It stopped printing a couple years ago, just did online, but the Turks want to have the print issue. I think they're buying it for the rankings. They're going to try and convince people that the Ring magazine will be the only rankings worthwhile. I don't know that. Boxing is so splintered and disjointed today that I don't believe you can get anybody together to agree on anything. But,
yeah, I did read that it's going to be actually being printed. Now, is this a weekly or a monthly?
Monthly. And I was one of there were only about a half a dozen complete collections in the world, and Ring didn't even have one. And I'm sorry now that I sold mine about 5 years ago, because the way the Turks throw money around, they could have paid me a lot more than I got for mine.
Well, I'm just curious. I said they're going to be available in England and the United States. Is that considered, an English, just an English edition? Now, where will it be? Will this be subscription? Will it be on newsstands? They decided what that's going to be?
No, I have no idea now that you mention it. Where is it going to be printed? Whether they're going to retain the writers who have been working there. I don't know. I really don't know how this just popped up in the land. I mean, I heard the rumors a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't believe the sale price being that high. But this is an ongoing story. I just don't. I don't know, boy. When my Ring magazine came in the mail, or you could go down to 13th and Market, the Ring was on all the newsstands in Philly. I mean, geez, probably up through the 80s.
I do remember seeing it along with Sports Illustrated and all the sports magazines. And I was a hockey nut. Hockey had their own, Hockey Illustrated. And, they were all part of that whole section just for sports.
Yeah, but it only mattered if you got ranked by the Ring magazine. If Ring ranked you in the top 10, you had made it.
Well, look at the humble beginnings, how it started. What, was 100 years ago? Was it 1923 or 24?
1922, February.
So it's 100. Yeah.
Nat Fleischer was a sports writer, a boxing writer, and he was the founder, editor, and publisher of the Ring. And he passed away, I believe, in 1972. I met him when my mom went to New York one day on a shopping spree. I think I was in the 8th grade. This was 1960. And the Ring magazine then was located right over the marquee at Madison Square Garden. And she dropped me off there, and she went out shopping and left me there for about 4 or 5 hours in the offices where they had all the memorabilia and all the books they sold. And Nat Fleischer was walking around screaming at people. And I was like in heaven the whole day at the Ring magazine offices.
Well, that's right. That's before you were younger. You weren't in college yet?
No, this 1960, I was 13.
But maybe it gave you the bug to even write, to be into publishing too. So, it's amazing how life comes full circle, and now how it's been sold. But that's a good thing, though, right? It's going to still be out there in a printed form that you could, for ardent collectors like yourself and other people that could pick it up.
My collecting days are over, Carl. Now I'm in the selling mode.
Yes, and I know probably once we get into the new year, we can have just one podcast. I did take a look at your website and some of the memorabilia that you have on there. That maybe we could just dedicate just one podcast just for that. To let people know that actually I'm a little bit remiss about doing a little banner here. I apologize for that. But anyway, hey, people who are seeing this, we would like you to this is Russell's actual official YouTube page with his comments and what he wants to have on there. And if you go on there, we're getting some nice comments on there. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's growing little by little, and I think people are really liking what the content to this channel is. But I'm looking forward to the next couple months. So I'm going to continue with anything else. I don't think you want to talk about the Tyson fight anymore. Probably.
No, listen, Carl, I like to keep these podcasts short. We're coming up on 34 minutes. So rather than just stretch it out, I think we should just close it up.
All right, that's it. You're the boss here. But look, one more time, we always like to give the plug that you are where tonight?
Valencia Shores Men's Sporting Club in Lake Worth. We're going to talk boxing. I'm going to explain that most people today have no idea how big boxing was. It was bigger than as a sport. It was bigger than baseball. It was bigger than anything, professional sports. And I'll explain to them that in one fight in 1927, Gene Tunney made $990,000. The same year, Babe Ruth made $70,000, and the entire bankroll of the great 1927 New York Yankees team, which included Lou Gehrig, their total payroll was under $250,000, and Gene Tunney made $990,000 in one fight that year. That's how big boxing was.
Well, this is for the people in southern Florida. That's in the Boca Raton, Miami area. If anybody I know, it is now about 2-3 o'clock East Coast time. This will probably be up on the Facebook page and the YouTube page probably a little bit later on. But if you catch this and you get an opportunity to go out there and see Russell tonight, and you'll have books to sign there for them.
Absolutely. We're going to have a one. Listen, I love, I don't like to talk to people, but when I give speeches, I'm pretty good. We'll have a lot of fun.
What do you mean you don't like to talk to people? You're talking to me, so that's not too bad. So come on, you're not shy. Well, Russell, again, I want to thank you again for this. Looking forward to the next one. Hopefully, you have a great turnout tonight down there in Florida. And you never know. I might be planning a trip with a friend of mine in the Tampa area. You never know. Maybe if I'm down there and I have some extra time, I might go across state and maybe come down and say hi. Maybe we'll do one in person there in Florida, maybe sometime in the new year. So, but yes, we look forward to the two. Just give a little shout out to the next two for the guests you're going to have.
Ivan Robinson, former lightweight contender, twice beat Arturo Gatti, and Ray Didinger, classmate at Temple University and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the media section.
Well, looking forward to that in the next two before the end of the year. And 2025 is going to be pretty darn good, too, for this podcast. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you very much. Go to his podcast, The Official Russell Peltz, on YouTube. This is going to show a little bit on Facebook. And thanks again for the next one. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Carl. Have a ball.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
J. Russell Peltz. This is the man to talk to. He's the man that led me to the top when nobody else thought I was qualified. All the other promoters, Don King, Bob Arrow, none of them would fool with me. But J. Russell Peltz said, hey, he still got it. So I'm leaving it up to him to guide me the next way. This is the man of any young fighter.